Is Richard Munro coming to you live from AI Studios in Sawa. He's actually at the corner of Bim Bim Trace and El Socorro Main Road. This live stream was not planned. This is going to be a very informal ramble. We're here at Analog Film Shop, I think is the name we gave it. We didn't plan that name either. I just typed it on the fly and it sounded good and we kept it. All right? We have a whole crew of people with us here. Some of them learning film for the first time, been interested in film, never shot film. Some of them more experienced, some of them here with broken cameras and stuff. Everybody welcome. We just want to get into it, build a little community vibes, and we're going to get right down to it. And right, I ain't talking to all you again. Just watch, right? Yeah. So you said, which camera you say you have? I can see it. Just there. Bring it up. Yeah. This is the place. Yeah. It is not a digital camera. No screen on the back. You start good already. All right, cool. So, wow. I feel like this show was meant to happen. This is a Canon EOS Rebel X. You remember these at all? Right. Neither me. Because like I said, I started film just 2 years ago. Funny thing is though, my very first digital SLR camera was made off of this model. It was the Canon Rebel XSI. Very first one that came from film, digital, was made after this model. So we'll check this for you. And I have your battery here too. You're lucky. So this here is a very small-ish part of my collection. Meaning, yes, I left some cameras home. Redundant cameras.
This is less than 2 years collection.
Right, that was the part of the Uber story. Right, so the Uber story that I did legally, but most of what is happening here right now, you know. So while bills were being paid in Trinidad, the excess pennies and stuff were going into cameras. The thing is, just 2 years ago, just a year ago, 12 months ago, used film cameras were much more affordable than they are now, right? This little camera here, the Olympus XA, is a built of a cult classic. I got this camera gifted to me by another fellow film photographer, but at the time, I could have probably get them online in working condition for probably 75 US. You'll be lucky to find one for less than 150 now. For less than 150. This camera, this is my baby. All I could see why. I skinned this one for myself. It was black like that one day. But yeah, somebody was getting rid of this camera locally, actually. I guess they wanted money for whatever. And I think I paid, and I only tell them only what I pay for this because I'll never sell it, right? You understand? If I come to Ole and say $1,000, that's Richard, you're dreaming. Never sell it. I paid about 300 TT for this. So that is less than 50 US, essentially 50 US, roughly, give or take. This is the Yashica Matte EM. So while I have it in my hand, I'll talk about it right now. So I guess we'll start with this line of cameras here. You'll be lucky to get one of these online now for less than 200 US. And it sounds expensive when I say 200 US because I pay 300 TT for it, but 200 US for a TLR camera is a steal. Still a steal. You understand? TLR stands for Twin Lens Reflex. So the name is pretty much obvious to the lenses. So before I continue, okay, so all the photographers among us, show of hands, yes, any camera you shoot, actual photographers, right. So anybody could put a camera in your hand once you know the aperture, how to adjust the aperture, how to adjust the shutter and your ISO, and you can make a picture. Agreed? Right. Whether it is right, whether it is the camera metering for you, which is the case these days with digital cameras. I need to stop saying DSLR because, yeah. Mirrorless cameras especially allows you to preview. And that, for me, is one of the greatest inventions ever, almost like going to the moon for me. Because coming from, I had this habit of getting lens adapted to my DSLR camera. This is a film camera too, but it looks like a modern day, right? It looks like a Canon 5D, which is what the 5D was made after this camera, right? In terms of the model. If you're a Canon shooter and you pick up this, all the settings and stuff like the 5D feels almost the same, native. Your hand will literally go to the shutter speed and everything here. And I like adapting old legacy lenses, which are the lenses on these cameras here, to my modern digital camera. But then you had to nail a manual focus. Now, with mirrorless cameras, you could zoom in and peek and all these settings and everything. Shooting manual is a breeze now. I've seen you shoot manual at weddings.
Camera knocking on left eye, right eye.
Yeah. You know? So once you get a camera in your hand as a photographer and you know those three things, you could make a picture. It's the same thing with every camera on this table. Except for a select few, like this one here has one setting just like a disposable camera. But for all the rest of them, there's a shutter dial. You change your aperture. Some of them you do it on the lens or on the camera body itself. And the ISO is set by the film. So once you put in a roll of film, this roll of film here, that number, you can pass it around, that number 400 is your film speed, or for digital people, that is your ISO. So you're locked in at ISO 400. Now, there are little things you could do to film to get it to 200 or 800 or stuff. But my point is, once you set your camera at that ISO, that is it for the roll. Start to finish, that is where you're at. Right? So that makes it easier when you think about it. Yeah, you do have the flexibility of interfering with your ISO, but that is one less thing to change. Right? So now all you're focusing on is your aperture and your shutter. That is it. So for every camera here, as a photographer, if I put this camera in your hand and I say, okay, this is the aperture and this is the shutter speed here, you should be able to make a picture. Some of them, you'll need to use an app on your phone or external light meter to get your exposure right. Some of them have built-in light meters. So the camera will do that part of the thinking for you. Do you have to do that? Right? So as we spoke about mirrorless cameras, what if I told you that mirrorless cameras today were not the first mirrorless cameras invented? This is a mirrorless camera. Because mirrorless, exactly like what they did, there's a mirror in this camera. The reflex part of it. You're shooting at a SLR, the SLR, there's a mirror inside there. The light comes through the lens, hits the mirror, and sends it up to the viewfinder. That way you get to see a right side up image. When we go to the large format cameras over there, you will get a real world view of what a camera actually sees. We see it upside down, and the software flips it first. Right? That is how light works. You understand? For the photographers, I know you all have seen that image of the two lines coming into the lens, and then it hit the lens, and then it flip over and come. That is easy. But the other thing is, not only is it upside down, it is also left to right, which is what we have here. So in this camera, you have the bottom here is what we call the taken lens. Right? So film goes right inside here. covers this area. Right? That's the film box. Every film camera has a film box, every last one. The space. If you notice, you only see the bottom lens through here. It's the taken lens, which means no light from this lens on top here gets into the bottom. This lens is your viewing lens. So when I look down into the camera here, what I'm actually composing through is the lens on top. What I'm taking the picture with is the lens below. On the right-hand side here, I have my shutter speed. On the left-hand side, I have my aperture. So I literally just showed you what you need to take a picture with this camera. That's it. Your shutter speed, your aperture control. I already told you the film is set at constant ISO. The trick with these TLR cameras, though, is that the mirror only flips it to make the image right side up, not the correction for left to right. So when you look here, if I need to take a picture of you or focus on you, to get you adjusted to my left, I actually have to, you see me go this way just now. So that it could be a little disorienting that way because, you know, your makeup, you know, your gland in the ears there for your balance. So when you do this, you want to compose something to your right, you go to shoot to your right, but that isn't the case here. You actually have to go the other way. Huh?
Like when you're on Zoom.
Yeah. So the first time I actually tried using one of these, I felt like I was floating kind of. It was a real uncomfortable feeling. Right? So I'll just go into, what is the easiest way to do this? But Tori, can you sit in your stool, please? Guys, this is Tori, my cousin. She's going to be our model sitting today. Hello. Looking all pretty and stuff. She did her own makeup, and she makes cakes. Right. Fantastic baker. So, guys, let's come right across here. Yeah, so you could sit and face me this way. You all could come on the side where we have this space. Reggie, just hold this one, please. Let me put a tripod here. You know, I just needed something to focus on. Kyle, I could kill the house lights for, I feel like you know that was coming. Right. So we have this TLR camera set up here. I'll be taking a few shots with this camera a little later. I'll show you all how we load the film and stuff. So one at a time, you all just come around and take a peek in here. Note her orientation, right? So she's sitting facing our left, right? Go ahead. Right. Yeah. So you'll take a peek and I'll talk while that is happening. So these cameras One of the nice things about these cameras for us strobists, for us who like to do off-camera flash and that kind of thing, is that they come with leaf shutters, meaning that this was high-speed sync before high-speed sync. Thank Conrad. This was high-speed sync before high-speed sync. The thing about leaf shutters is that you can sync your lights at any speed, from 1 second all the way up to 500. The issue we have with focal plane shutters is that if you go too fast, you end up with something called banding in the picture. So just the part of the plane, the focal plane that exposes the picture will have light, and then you'll see your shutter curtain blocking out the rest of the light, which means you can't go faster than the sync speed of the camera, right? And next thing about these cameras is, and this is probably not such a good thing, is that they suffer from something called parallax error when they get too close to your subject. Now, the minimum focus distance, the closest you could focus to your subject on one of these cameras is about 3 feet, 3.5 feet. You could apply close-up filters to the front. That would get you closer, like if you want to do macro work. But what happens is, because the viewing lens and the taking lens is not on the same plane, the closer you get to the subject, your composition starts shifting, because remember, you're looking on top. So your subject is going to get lower and lower. So you might think you're composing, bam, and then you develop your picture, and you realize the person's head at the bottom half of the, yeah. Huh? Do what?
Trying not to move around too much.
Trying not to?
Yeah. Trying to follow you now, people online.
Or flex their muscles, boy. Yeah. So TLRs. I could move because I need to go back across to that table. So you all understand the part about the flip, right? This is the left to right flip. Before I go over there and we start talking about the different cameras and the formats for the film and stuff, I'm just going to show you real quick what happens over here with the vertical flip. So Tori could face this camera right over here. So guys, you all will literally have to kind of squeeze up on this side. All right, so one at a time, just lift the dark cloth and look at the back of the screen, and then I'll explain more about these cameras a little later. So not only is it flipped left to right, everything is upside down. So you're composing upside down and you're composing left to right. Yeah, I love that expression every time people see it. It's like, yeah. Yeah. And what is happening here with the dark cloth is exactly what you've seen on TV and movies and that kind of thing. Except in the movies, they would have a big apparatus here with a flash bulb on it. And the thing about that flash bulb is that for every picture you took, you had to change that bulb. So one bulb, one picture. Anybody else want to see? Yo, move fast now. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, take pictures. Yeah, so the flashbulb story. Sometimes we'd watch these old movies. Let's take these boxing movies, for example. And you'd have the photographer outside the ring taking pictures of the boxing match happening. And he has a guy next to him with a pouch of bulbs. By the time he's finished covering this event, this is to tell you how nice we have it. He's literally standing in glass. Because he has to compose, pop, take that out, put in the next one. That is one picture. Right. Chop, chop. Gimbal guy, forgive me, I don't know your name. You could come in and show the live people, the people in your life. I don't know if you could get off. Yeah, could focus to that lens there, man. Yeah, the scene is good. Nice. So if you bring the camera down lower, the light will come on her face too. All right, Stephanie. Mm-hmm. Nice, huh?
I was not expecting that.
And next thing about this, and the thing is, I like comparing the old cameras to what we know today as 4K, 6K, 8K, 12K. Hi. The size of this picture coming out of the camera will literally be 8 inches by 10 inches. Can you imagine a camera sensor that big? Can you imagine a digital camera sensor that could record 8 by, yeah, it do exist. I do think we could afford it if they made it and that kind of thing. So I don't know how much in the case this would be in terms of the 4K and stuff. And next thing about this camera while we're here is that I built it from scratch. And I'm very proud of it. Thank you very much. The bellows, Bristol board, for the videographers among us, these are 15mm rods from a video cage. And all the connectors and fittings. The shutter compartment in front here, I took from another camera. Literally broke it down from a smaller camera, reverse mounted it to hold a lens. And there's this guy in Valencia that does what's his name? CNC machines. Right. So he just cut the back, the molds, and yeah, and it took me about a week, and it works. Thanks. Thanks, Tori. Done with you for now. All right. So can we get the lights? Oh, take off the lights, please. Sorry. Yeah, I know how to set up in a way. Right, so we come in right here. So we have here, this is a picture I took of my beautiful wife. This is the size of the picture that comes out of that camera over there. 8 by 10 inches. This sheet of film in my hand is actually X-ray film. The same kind of X-ray film you use in the hospital. Film this size for that camera is so expensive. You'll go close now. I'll move. I've seen it before. Amir has experienced this before with me. I was actually fortunate. I had the honor of taking a picture of Mr. Yeah. So that is a life-size, real-size view of what comes out of that camera. Now, this is what you call black and white reversal process. The original film didn't look like this. Film normally comes out as a negative, which means you have to invert it to see a positive image, unless it's something called slide film, which shoots a positive image directly out of the camera. We'll get to that later. So I could get the house lights now, please. Now, for us getting into film photography, large format photography as this is, might be a long way down the road for you, if at all, if ever. Some people don't ever, because it is a slow process, but I like it, you know? Why are you interested in film?
When I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
meaning like under 9, my first camera was a film. And I love that.
When you were younger, under
Yes,
9, uh-huh.
Yes, that's when I had my first film camera, right?
Mm-hmm. So
I used to take pictures a
you were
long
young
time ago.
enough to own a film camera at 9?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
You look
yes.
fantastic. Let's go.
Thank you. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And also too, one of my uncles, he used to do a lot of photography, David Lehigh, and unfortunately now he can't teach me how to use it. But I just love the greeniness of it and how it is like you have to control the camera, you have to control everything, you know, so that image is you. Really,
So that tactile
you know?
experience.
Yes, that's what. Yeah.
All right, all right. I like that. I like that. I like that. Rajiv,
Why film?
why film?
Good question. Is there's a quality and a character to a film photograph that I honestly haven't figured out what the reason is, but it's completely different from a digital image. I honestly just can't explain it.
What do
I
you
could
say?
shoot. I could shoot in 1 month. I could shoot 10,000 digital images, and I could shoot one roll of film with 24. And in that roll, I will find. I will cherish that one roll more than the 10,000 pictures. So it really is there's a quality and a magic to it. And to this date, I'm yet to find the proper explanation, but it's just there.
I'll come back to that. That's very honest. Why film?
To be honest, I find film represents why I liked photography as a child growing up. Um, in life, right? Things go so fast, but photos, you could look back at 100 years, right? And you can see life that time ago, right? And film was the beginnings of that. So I always wanted to get into film, and that's why I was so excited to get into it, because it was the beginnings of why I actually started to do photography and get my little point and shoots and run around the house taking pictures.
Right.
So yeah.
That's a very historian approach, which I also like, because when you think about where film come from and how it was made to even get us to this point, we're literally talking about some guy decided that he could make silver react to light, and if he block out parts of the images in the shape that the film could see, he could then pour some chemical on that and preserve something in time. Crazy for me. You understand? You don't even need to be a nerd to understand how mad that is. Literally silver on a sheet of film and some gelatin reacting to light, and then boom, you pour some liquid on it. You understand? And then you have a picture. And then somebody took it further now to have like this large format. Now, back in the day, they only had large format. Cameras became smaller with time. They only had large format. Right? I am actually acquainted with a guy that shoots on a 20 by 24 camera. That's inches, folks. 20 by 24. He brings the camera into the studio on 2 horses. You know the horses? Right. So understand if that's 8 by 10, how big that. You get it? Why film?
Memories. Growing up, my mother used to just shoot film. So we have like containers just full of film. So it's just one of those things. And I believe in collecting nostalgic things. Yeah. So I collect records and things of that nature, because you have to be, as you said, tactile with it. You have to touch it. It's not just you point and it gets on a screen. Like you have to, and I love to be able to give people film.
Right.
That's definitely one of those things.
So let me answer my own question as to why film. First, and I'm going to be very honest, I was bored. Yeah, that's how it started for me. Bored. Like I told you all about YouTube. That's what we do as photographers, you know. You do photography, you want to learn more and stuff, but then you might just click on this one video and you start binging. So that was it. The first thing, I was bored. I didn't get into all this yet. You all have really, really nice explanations for I'm being straight.
Picking up.
Then cameras. Film for me was the cameras more than the pictures when I started, because it was about collecting stamps. These are my stamps. These are my bottle caps. You understand? Then film became about film for me. And not because, now the nostalgia is one thing, yeah, but I can't attribute that to nostalgia. Yeah, film looks nostalgic because when we think of point and shoots and disposable cameras from our vacations as children and that kind of stuff, pictures of us growing up, we could remember, yeah, boy, that's what film. But that was never it for me. Film for me, more than anything else, was literally just another way to express exactly what I was doing on a digital camera. And by extension, digital photography for me became work. See that? Yes, I know I have the bills to pay. Yes, I know I have 20 photo shoot to edit on, you know. And then the backlog, and then there's wedding videography and everything we do to pay the bills. And then film, for me, was something I could select any camera I wanted or fall in love with this one camera for 6 months or however long and take it and go in the bush and not care about anybody or anything around or the backlog waiting for me. You understand? So I started procrastinating by shooting film. But that escape for me was unreal. Unreal. And then being able to take a picture of my wife, of my daughter, of my friends, and put it on a light table and see that in front of me like a living, breathing slide right there. So the tangible thing too, film is archival. And when I say film is archival, I mean, yes, you develop film, keep your negatives, you have a receipt of your film. You have a small version of it. But the other part of the archival is there's literally film stocks that are archival. So a lot of the movies we watch today, for example, the first Thor, Tenet was the most recent one to come out, shot on 65mm film. Hollywood is still shooting film.
All Tarantino
Correct, there you go. And then they put the film, the actual film, through this machine and make a copy of it on another sheet of film. And they archive that with properties for 500 years. Once that is climate controlled and stored in a room like that, you know you have your film for 500 years. Film doesn't like heat and odd moisture and all these kind of things, so we're also responsible for that. So when it comes to shooting film, whatever the reason is for starting shooting film in the first place, you're going to find other reasons. Once you feel like you're getting bored of your digital life, I could recommend trying out a little film photography. All right, so can we come right here to this table? And I'm going to put some speed on here. Do I need this mic? All right, so cameras, film types, and formats. We already had a little introduction into what large format film looks like. These cameras here, probably the most common to families. This is a point-and-shoot camera, right? There are basic controls on it, like a backlight compensation, like if it's too bright behind the subject and you know you want to expose them, you press that button and it essentially overexposes the front by a step and a half. That is what it does. Then you have the selfie timer, you know, you put it on a wall and all on the beach and you stoop down in it and you hold that pose until it fire and then somebody blink every time, right? So point and shoot, you know, a road trip, and these point and shoot cameras, they take the most common. Right? Everybody's seen one of these, right? I don't need to pass it out. Right? So we have several 35mm film cameras here. 35mm, not to be confused with focal length. 35mm camera and 35mm lens. 35mm camera here does not have film in it. This one. I can't tell you how many rolls of film by opening the back of the camera, because it's empty. Right? So now I have to prefer to wait and wait. So advance and look here to see if it tilts as well and take a shot. And if it didn't tilt, you know you have to film inside. Right? Put this one. Right, 35mm cameras. You all can see the film window behind here. If you've ever shot a 35mm camera, you see the space, the size of the space is roughly I think 26 by 34 millimeters. To quote me on that, but the information is online. So that space there, that is the size of the picture that is going to happen on your negative. That is the size of your full frame digital camera. Exactly the same size. This is where it came from. Right? Right, so you're good. Good. So I'm going to write that up on. So come take a peek here. So that is the size of the picture being recorded onto the 35 millimeter film. Right? And as you can see, that is not a negative film, these are slides. Back in the day, they used to mount them into little slide mounts and they used to put them into this carousel called a slide projector and it'll go around on the TV and project on the wall. Yeah, that's how they used to watch. That's how we used to view your memories back in the day by mounting slides. There's some people that still can't do that. I have no interest in that because I also like the technical part of it, like scanning and getting it into my computer and that kind of stuff. Now, you can take the so you can see the difference in size from one API sensor compared to one full frame sensor. Massive. And this is the size of the digital sensor and smaller for the API sensor that is recorded in 4K and 6K and 12K. And it's mind-blowing resolution. Mind-blowing, get a full frame camera. Massive. Of course, are the most popular cameras. This is what I still love shooting mine. I still love shooting mine, opening mine. I mean, I still collect them. It's not there anymore because coming from the is the easiest thing to do. They know that they feel comfortable. Another thing about film cameras like these, like you talk about the tactile part of it. That's it. Do that. This camera in my hand is the only camera that I ever made. The only couple people, the only one, right? But also, there won't be many copies of this made because manufacturers they try to consumer market. They try to customers and they see what looks and stuff and make money. And if they realize that public customers get a model, they probably go under the end of it. So what is unique about this camera? This camera can take full frame shots, 35 millimeter, and can also take half frame shots in the same way. Now there are half frame cameras that only do half frame, which means this will not must be for exposures. If you shoot at half, you get 4K. So it has camera is marketed and gets to tourists and well, you know, what would you like to have 40 or 72? Since I started shooting last format, 8 by 10, 4 by 5. These cameras, the film folder, 2 shots, 1 on each side. 2. That's what they get. So as many times they grow over, it's how much they get. If you have 6 cameras, right? When I started shooting last format, and being satisfied with the amount of work it took me to get 4 shots. You know how hard it is to finish a roll of film. Difficult to shoot a roll of film. But at this camera, 4,000 shots though. No. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. Okay, I don't know what it is. It's the money. It's the money. Because corner there. So now they're going to take a shot out. Kodak just experienced 80% high in gold prices. 80%, not 3, not 7, not 17, 80% extra money. It's still manageable with this size here. But then when you start to move up any sizes, it gets more expensive. So let me show you how it is. I'm going to show you that right now. I'll start by that's the thing that we can pull up. And but not only inside it. But not only does it put the map to make it half great, it also controls gears, switch that speed, the whole thing. That's good. So there's a I forgot to because it would mean buying more reels and stuff. It's called 110 format. And you see that camera too. But also some cameras are running house for people that actually take the picture like this. Way up here. 110 cameras. There are some of them that are operated like this. You know what I'm talking about? Right. Those are 110 cameras. And I have 110 cameras. I have 110 cameras with the I just not use it. But the same reason why I have to do the crop center cameras. That's not good. But the same thing. 110 is micro four tips. Yeah. 110 is micro four tips. Right. So it's about the SLRs. The 500 cameras also come in range finder. What is a range finder? An SLR camera. We spoke about the camera inside there. It comes on the mirror, focus to the left here. They focus. Range finders don't look like separate. So we actually have multiple people. Okay. Just look inside there, you see I this is also a range finder. This is the thing is not a point and shoot. It's also a range finder. So while everybody is looking into that one, what the range finder does is show you the image through the viewfinder, not through the lens. That is why this is your worst enemy when you shoot on a range finder. Because you will never shoot this phone by looking through the viewfinder. It is not through the lens. And how I know that? How do you think I know that? Yes. Yes. But the boy was in the groove in New York, walking through the snow, everything pretty and white and bright and everything. Walk from here around west, the snow, 26 years later. So when I developed the rule, blank, see through and through the picture until frame number 27. So what happens is when you look into the viewfinder, there's a patch they call the range finder. So how this camera works is the shutter is always closed until they're ready to take the picture. Yeah, it's like extra protection for the light not coming into the room. There's no shutter closed. Right. There's no protection. The shutter in here remains closed. So this also has a leaf shutter like that. Right? But pass it around through. Pass it around and just look. So the focus is on this. Rangefinders have a patch called the rangefinder patch. When you look, there's a thing, right? So the get image in focus, you'll see the image like this. Once it lines up and it's blurry anymore, you have a sharp image. That is great for people like me. A chat over there, our eyesight ain't any better anymore. All you have to do is see them two things like there, the shutters and focus. So if you want, you focus on a straight line anywhere. And you will see the ghosts moving back and forth. So like rangefinder, also so this is our segue into the format of medium format. This is a 5mm film. This is medium format. So medium format is called 120 film. There are other formats in medium format like 60 and stuff, but they will talk. And it's called 120 film, not 120 millimeter. That's 120 film. The name came about when was making film and stuff, they just literally give them numbers. The 120 film is the one that survived all the other the formats. You might be able to identify the location. Mohawk Bridge. Yeah, that's 120. So here's the catch with 120 film. Unlike 35mm film, where you just have either 24 exposures or 36 exposures, or how much exposures you decide to hand spool, you all got to feel nicer. Come back. So this is the focus for this, right? Remove it and look through the. Yeah, there's a little lever right here. Yeah, that's if turn that one. And you'll see the patch moving through there. So you could equip it right there. Right. Catch with medium format film, and I say it's a catch because unlike 35mm film, normally you buy 24 exposures or 36 exposures. They show that's how much pictures you're getting. Disposable cameras normally come around 27. With medium format, the amount of exposure solely depends on the camera you're shooting it in. This here, I think we have 15 frames here about. We're shot in this camera. So on medium format, you get to shoot this format, which is 645. So the numbers I'm calling now is the size of the frame. 6 by 4.5. Our TLR camera over there, like this one, does 6 by 6, which I like to call the Instagram format, is a perfect square. On this, you get 12 exposures. On this lovely antique here, this is a folder. Yeah, sexy, I know. Okay, just get it open. Right. This takes makes a negative the size of 6 by 9, which means you only get 8 shots. So you realize the bigger the format, you're just going down and down in how much pictures you can get. So depending on the camera you use, the frame gets more expensive, right? So we started at 15 shots. Then this one took us down to 12 shots. Then in between these two, there's a 6 by 7, which gives you 10 shots. Then you have this, which gives you 8 shots. Then there's 6 by 12, which gives you 6. And then there's 6 by 17 for panoramic. You get 4 shots on a roll. So it's the same film. Same film. And
Yeah, the film is just a strip. And
Yeah.
it's up to the camera
yeah.
to take pictures.
So I'll load a roll into that camera over there.
This is also a rangefinder.
Yeah, this is a rangefinder.
Let me see the 6x9 now. The 6x9.
All right, that was the next thing I needed to touch on. So we spoke about rangefinders.
Yeah, open it. I just want to see how big.
How big the
Yeah.
this camera
Ridiculous.
focuses by zone only. That means that on the front here, there are distance measurements from 3.5 feet to 40 feet. And you have to know if that door is 15 feet away from you or not. So that is what we call zone focusing. Now it might sound hard when you think about, okay, we already do have autofocus, and now you're telling me I can adjust the focus either by turning my lens or whatever. But at the time that these cameras were made, zone focusing is what they knew. You set your aperture to f11 or f8. Here now, this f1.2 and 1.4 and 2.8, and these shallow apertures and things. It's our version of photography today. You know? That is what we know as cameras. We want that shallow depth of field and the blur and the thing. Back in this time, here, f8 is normally where your lens was the sharpest. And photographers then wanted the sharpest possible image. That was the sweet spot, f11. And if you know anything about depth of field at all, your aperture directly affects your depth of field. And the other thing that affects your depth of field, and for some reason, even I want to say experienced, but it kind of heading into oxymoron land already. But even experienced photographers sometimes forget that your depth of field is also affected by your distance from the subject. And that is huge. That is why people are able to make disposable cameras at f9.5 from 4 feet to infinity, because you can't get closer than 4 feet, else it's going to be out of focus. You understand? And then everything from here to down the road going to be sharp because of the distance and also because of your focal length. Most disposable cameras is like around the 24 millimeter range, the lens. You understand? So the wider the lens, more depth of field you have again. So they would set it to f8, f11, or whatever. And this here is a process. You actually cock the shutter on the lens itself. So you have to cock the shutter here, then you could fire it either with this pin here or on top here. So, all you want to find out how I learn about that too? Like I said, this is 8 shots. Went to Dollar Tree with Mom, New York again. I said, Mommy, I'm going outside and charge my new camera. Just came the day before from Canada. I bought it off a French girl there for like $75. Going outside, get my range. I say, right, that bus there looking like about 20 to 30 feet. With overcast, I set my aperture to f8. I say, that bound to be in focus where it is there. And I take my picture and I advance. But I didn't take the picture. And I didn't take the picture for 5 out of those 8 frames. I ended up with 3 shots. Because I kept forgetting that I cocked the shutter on the lens itself. So your boy pressing, clack, and advancing. Ooh, that one will look good. Nothing there. Right, so coming down the table here, 35 millimeter again. Now, I ordered this in terms of history, basically, like in order of their inventions. We have the Minolta X700, which became another cult classic. This camera introduced a meter in the viewfinder. When you look to the right, now this is an aperture priority camera. There's an auto mode here. Now you could go to manual mode and set everything, but there's an aperture priority mode, the A, where you set your aperture on the lens, you touch this, tap it, you're not even half pressing, and it lights up a meter inside there to tell you your shutter speed. And immediately you know if you're going to be too slow, if you need to open up, if you need to stop down. I'm talking to the more experienced guys here, you know to manual. Set your thing. So, on. Right, so pass this around real quick. Well, you have one like this. I'm not going to show you. Like I said, this is the big brother to the one you had. Just touch the shutter button, look to the top right corner, and you're going to see some red lights inside it. Lighting up. Yeah, put your eye up to the viewfinder. Just tap it. You're seeing some lights in the top right corner there?
Top right?
Red, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Sorry. So there's literally a meter. Sorry, I'm not turning this way. You'll okay, but you'll hear me, right? Yeah. There's a meter inside there with your shutter speeds on the side, and there's an arrow on top and an arrow below. If the arrow on top is blinking, you're overexposed. If the arrow below is blinking, you're underexposed, and you change to suit. You understand? So this is what we know today as the prosumer cameras. So the pro had one in the collection for the weddings, but the consumers could have used them too. There's also a program mode on this camera. So while that going on, so yeah, just tap it, look to the top right. You see some red lights inside there. Then enter the SLR cameras as we know it. Right, before we went to the 5D Mark I and all that kind of thing. Now this one has film in here. So, and I've been shooting this one roll of film now for about 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Yeah. Right. That is how I was getting at. So now we have your Canon EF lenses, all of them full frame will work on this camera. Right? So actually, when I go on photo shoots and I want to shoot film, unless I'm trying to impress the girl, I normally just pick up this and put on my 1.2 Samyang lens and go and jam on film. It's the same thing, right? The nice thing about these cameras is that I could put it in program mode and literally treat it like a point and shoot. I ain't guessing nothing. The camera is doing everything for me. Another kind of prosumer vibes. My God. How much shots are in there already? Yeah. So I don't need to pass this one around. This is literally a film version of your Canon DSLR. Literally. Easy explanation. This side of the table saw the invention. Now, there were some that come before these. These are actually modern iterations of cameras that were made before. The toy camera era. Children wanted to take pictures too. You understand? So they started making toy cameras that took film that they could actually shoot. And then a company called Lomography came about. Some of you all might have heard about them. They make film and cameras. Invented this cult classic called the Holga. Now the Holga comes in all kind of different styles. This is a medium format. It takes 12 images, square images, just like this camera, on this film. So it is a medium format camera. There are only two apertures, f8 and f11, and 60 millimeter. And you're focusing, just pass this around here. So the images literally tell you on the lens what the focus is. If it's a person, a group, a mountain, mean landscape. So it is a zone focusing camera again. You understand? But because it's already f8 or f11, it's kind of hard to mock up in terms of your focus because everything is going to be in focus anyway.
So these cameras are like
daylight sunlight cameras. You know,
Literally daylight sunlight cameras.
always outdoors, bright sun.
Film photographers would have coming up in these ages would have learned what we call the Sunny 16 rule. Anybody heard the Sunny 16 rule before? So real quick explanation of the Sunny 16 rule. If your film is ISO 100, remember I tell you the number on the film, the number is the film speed. If you have a film with the film speed of ISO 100, if your lens is set to f16 aperture, then your shutter speed is going to be 100th of a second in bright sunlight. That is the Sunny 16 rule. You understand? And you see, they essentially depended on the latitude of the film to nail the exposure. It works. It works every time. Outside is hot sun, you're shooting at ISO 400, your shutter speed should be 1/400th of a second at f16. And then you start cutting on a stopper light when the clouds start coming over. So partly cloudy, you drop to f11. Overcast, you drop to f8. Your shutter speed and your ISO remain the same. That's the Sunny 16 rule. Easy. Huh? Yeah. Some of them came. Sunny 16 rule were printed. Some on the back of cameras, toy cameras and stuff.
This Holga camera, the lenses are plastic lens.
Plastic lens. Yes.
No, just for the aesthetic. So it's like a low-fi image. So it's not going for high quality. It's like
Yeah, the resolution.
Like kind of like Polaroid kind of quality. That's all it goes.
Yeah, the resolution isn't fantastic. The resolution isn't fantastic.
So like when the hipsters movement and now come out and think all of them are rocking that kind of
Yeah. And this camera became so popular that there's actually a Holga Day where photographers all over the world go to Flickster and Facebook and the groups and stuff and take pictures with the Holga, develop it, and share it. Holga Day. Added to the toy cameras, you can just pass it passing around so you could feel it. That is to change the color of the flash. Like I say, it's a toy camera. Yeah, it's a gimmick. So if you look in front, it's red right now. So you could take a picture and the flash would light your film red. Yeah. What? Let's talk now, buddy. So them. Huh? Okay. So, yeah, this cute little camera comes in a bunch of colors. It shoots 35mm film. It's easy to carry on, but it's literally what I call a reloadable disposable. Yeah, that is what it is. Well, you're not going to throw the camera away. Is that thing to eat? They could eat and watch, and we can multitask. Come now, girl. We can have a whole table here. Lori. Which camera am I talking to? Yeah, AI Studios. Refreshments at AI Studios. We're on the corner of Bim Bim Trace and El Chicoro Main Road. Oh my word. Look at this treatment. Come. For the people who stick and didn't come here and love Lori. And you know what's going to hurt all you too? Apart from the free pillory and condiments and everything. Already. This might be the only free workshop. Yeah. So think about that. Yeah, you guys help yourself, you know, because I'm just going to talk this show and then we head on over there real quick. All right, so putting on some speed now while the cameras come around. The world progressed, and then from toy cameras we went into instant film. Instant film is exactly what it says. We grew up with Polaroid, right? And you take the Polaroid and you fan it too. You know, you fan that Polaroid. Well, Fuji took over this market, and we do not fan Fuji film. It had an old one there. All right, I'll take one out of my camera bag then. I think I have Conrad in here still. Isn't it? Right, so real quick, Polaroids got usurped by Fuji, right? And I say usurped because Polaroid is still being made, some of them. But it is expensive, it is finicky, you might get a good picture, or the picture mightn't even develop. There are pull-apart Polaroids where you take the picture and you have to peel it off, so they're not even making those anymore, as they used to the point that the expired ones now, sometimes you peel it off, and the picture coming off on the paper part this way too. Real frustrating. Enter Fuji Instax. They are conquering the market with these now, to the point that they started discontinuing the film, the normal film. The last one to get discontinued, I think, was Fuji Pro 400H, which was the name of a film emulsion that was really popular among wedding photographers. Because these instant film cameras are making so much money. The difference is, if you look at the shape of the film here, you notice this broad piece in the bottom? This broad piece in the bottom has the developer in it. That is why you don't wave it, because it could break and go onto the film and ruin, right? So we could pass these pictures around. These are the pictures that made this workshop happen, actually. I came here and just took a picture of Conrad, and he's like, boy, come on, do this here now. I was like, yeah. So pass that around. So Instax, Fuji, they started with the Instax Mini, which is the small film. Is there film in here? Oh, yes, there is. And then they went up to the more expensive Instant Square. Now, this SQ6 is no longer being made. So in the film world, once a camera is discontinued, it instantly becomes a collectible. So when I got this camera, I probably paid like 65 US for it. You can't find one online for less than 150 US now, because they're not making them anymore. So that means there's a finite amount, right? Let's see if this is working. Stop chewing, there you go. Let me see if it has film in here. Ah, boy. And then my favorite, the Instax Wide, which is the film you're passing around right now. Those pictures were not shot in this camera. We'll get to that later. Yeah, stay right there for me. Oh, God, I know how to do that. Hold on. Flash. Flash. All right, flash. Let me see if this is working. And that is instant film. So for those of you who never held a film camera before, you like going to parties, you have children and things, this is a real good place to start. Fuji, I'll send him a check. The cost of these, well, this one is also no longer being made, but you can find a bunch of Instax Mini cameras. They range in prices. This one you'll get for under 200. This is still being made, under 200 US. So I'll just pass these around. They'll literally be developing in your hand. Oh, that one had black and white in it. Say again? Even though the cameras, some of the cameras, the models discontinued, they still do it. Yeah. You could buy film for every, all these are fresh film for all the formats here. That's easy to get. This is where they're making the money. What Fuji did is literally put a printer in a camera and sell the ink. That is what they did. That is how they're making the money. Those are how printing companies make their money. Right? And quickly now, moving real fast. This is a chronographic, We're into the large format realm now. So we went through 35 millimeter, medium format. This is where large format begins. So this takes a picture in the size of 4 by 5 inches. So you know the size of a 4 by 6 picture? It's very similar to that. So just let me put up a sheet of negatives here so you all could peep at that. Okay, here we go. So you all could see the size of the 4 by 5 negative on this one. So the story I gave you all about the boxing matches. This was the camera. This particular one is the Crown Graphic Special. There's another iteration to this, which is over there, called the Anniversary Speed Graphic. The Speed saw them introduce a shutter curtain into this. This one, the shutter is in the lens. The Speed Graphics has a shutter curtain built into it. You crank it, you set the tension, and you take a picture. I'm going to pause that because when we go to take the picture over there, you all will see that. This is also a 4 by 5 camera called the Intrepid 4 by 5 Mark IV. This is not an old camera. This camera was made 3 months after I ordered it. That's how long I had to wait. So there are companies that are still making large format cameras. Right, so basically, you all see a mirrorless camera? This is what mirrorless cameras used to be like. So this is just a scale-down version of the one I built over there. Just takes a smaller negative. It works the same way. There's no mirror in the middle to correct anything. Everything happens upside down and left to right in the back here. It's cute, eh? Yes. And for people that like backpacking, trekking, you'll find them buying these cameras the most. I'm just going to pass it around so you all could feel how light. Don't drop it, please. That glass had to come all the way from England. And real quick, this is 4 by 5. This is 2 by 3. Same camera, different size negative. Pretty much. 4 by 5 film holder, 2 by 3 film holder. You all realize it's basically the same thing, just a different size. And like I said, 2 shots per film holder. Yeah, I'm going to demonstrate that over there. And finally, for this table, we have pinhole cameras. Fun, fun, fun. This is a 4 by 5 pinhole camera. And I've always said, a camera is literally a light box. So to take a picture with this camera, you set it on a tripod. After you get your measurements and stuff, your exposure is always over 30 seconds. This is your shutter here. With your finger, you open it, and that, you can see the pinhole there? Microscopic, a little dot in the middle.
Yeah.
That is what is taking the picture. And you have your time on your phone. It counts down a minute. I've done 16-minute exposures already. And then when you're done, you close it. And there's your picture. You see, because the camera is sitting there so long recording light in that little hole, once you don't bounce the camera or knock the camera, it is actually going to appear very sharp. And the sharpness is also influenced by the precision of that pinhole. Yeah. You see the light coming? This is also a pinhole camera. You can see the hole in the middle.
Very tiny.
You can see the pinhole. So this camera was 3D printed by a friend of mine. And it takes 35 millimeter film. So the thing is, with this camera, when you put the film in, I had to waste a roll, develop it, then look at the spacing to see how it line up, and then count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's probably a frame there. Yeah, that's how it is. Fully mechanical, 3D printed. Yeah, this is our rangefinder too, you know. Yeah, you can see the patch in the middle here as well. So put your eye up to the thing there, and this focus is right here by your thumb. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What is the aperture on this? Because I know they can measure that.
Huh?
What aperture is this? It's like F50.
This is f235. Yeah, let me see. Let me make sure if this one is the f235. I would have written it on the box. f231. If you look on the bottom here, you'll see the effective focal length of the hole, which is a 75mm equivalent lens at f231. So can you imagine metering for that in broad daylight? You understand? Your rivers and your streams looking like milk right through. You like it? Huh? Oh, right here. And this comes up, and this folds out, and attaches to the bottom here, and then you put your lens in and that kind of thing. Yeah. Tori, you ready for me? All right, guys, so we're going across to the studio area because we pressed for time right now. Know what time I saying here? 8 o'clock? How long I have? 8 o'clock? Okay. You could have this.
Oh, thank you.
This is yours? Yeah. I normally have a marker I like to write on them now because I kind of enjoy put the date and whatever. Yeah. Of course. Don't keep it in your wallet, do I? When I go. Yeah. Once they start flexing. Now I had a loop. If I could find out. All right, commercial break. Let me see you lady. Yes. Oh, charge ready. You want to take it off?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's up to you. So this is where we end. These are, I really wanted to shoot some shots in this here, but you'll actually be able to see the shots happening here. With that camera, I'll actually have to go home, develop, then post it back online, which was the plan. But since we only have exactly less than how much time I want, we'll just go straight here. So I showed you all the big camera over there. This camera is an anniversary speed graphic made in the 1930s, just after World War II or before World War II or something like that, but in that vicinity. We spoke about Fuji. Here now, they really need to send me a check in. You heard me talk about lomography earlier, and this is one thing I love about the film community. Fuji is making instant film. Lomography realized that there's a hole in the market for large format photographers like myself that wants to shoot instant film on their large format cameras. Now, the cameras I showed you over there all have plastic lenses, right? So yeah, you're going to get a nice picture to preserve a memory, but the sharpness isn't going to be there, the resolution. So what Lomography did is they took an Instax wide camera, the mechanism from it, built it into their own proprietary case, which is this. And this becomes a large format instant camera film back. So behind this slide here is the same wide film from the big instant camera that is happening in here. And what this allows me to do is use my speed graphic here and focus using the screen, mount this on the back and make an instant film. That is sharp, same Instax film. So it opens the back here and takes the same cartridge. Yeah. This was literally released last year, October, I believe. And we waited 2 years for it. Like from the fundraiser and everything, builds, iterations and everything until it came to market. Took them about 2 years to get to there. Right? So thank you, Lomography, and thank you, Fuji. Before I take the picture, I just want to show you all something in the back here real quick. So I showed you all the big camera across there, the 4x5 camera, which is the Crown graphic. The Crown graphic is literally a box. And the shutter is in the lens. So you set everything on the lens, you put, the little cable. What do you call that cable again? Right. Yeah. And you take a picture like that, it releases the shutter in the lens and you take a picture. You have the option of doing this here too. You can see the size of the negative here, the film window, 4x5, like I said. But how this camera works is that they built a roller inside here that has a curtain. The curtain has slits in it. And as you crank this, the slits get smaller and smaller, which means for each slit, you have less light hitting a film plane, right? That is one part of the equation. This wheel here, right, is on one now, is a tension ring, a tension wheel. There's a spring inside there. What all that does is controls how fast that slit passes in front of your camera. So this camera goes from 1/10 of a second to 1/1000th of a second based on combinations of the tension and the slit. There's a chart on top here that tells me at tension number 1 on a quarter slit, which is the smallest slit, I will get a shutter speed of 1/350th of a second. That is how it is. Real easy, like I said. Once they give you a camera and you know what the settings are, you should be able to make a picture, right? So when you take my light from a picture now, it's all right, it's all right. Just turn the power to max now. And it could come this way a little bit. All right. So you'll have a basic understanding of how the camera exposes the film, right? So when I pull the shutter here, the slit passes in front and it's going to get slower and slower. Well, yeah, it's going to get slower, but with a bigger slit every time. And that is my shutter speeds based on the chart here. I have an app on my phone. I have an Android phone for the bougie people. What I know is that my Instax film is ISO 800. All of them. All the formats, all Instax film, ISO 800. Right? So you don't have to guess. So the app on my phone will allow me to set the ISO to 800. This lens has a constant aperture of f2.5. So I know those variables. I'm going to put that here, and I'm just going to hold the app up to Tori's skin. And it's telling me that I need a shutter speed of 1/320th of a second. That's how the app works. So I like to meter the shadow and everything so I could have a fair idea. I plenty of idea, boy. So one
No, that's just a phone app. That's just a phone app.
Is this a phone app?
Camera meter.
Yeah. So you all could see the app here, just basically ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. Right? You just put in relevant information. So in this setup, we have two constants. We know the film is f800, and this lens is actually a projector lens. It's not a camera lens. This lens was taken out of a slide projector, and it will always be f2.5. There's nothing I can do to close it down. It's wide open at f2.5. And because I don't need the lens to use the shutter, I could use the focal plane shutter in the back here to expose my shot, right? Pretty much like how a normal camera works. So we have 1/320th of a second. I'm just going to double check my focus here real quick. I do have time to call all it to see. Sorry. Look at the camera, Tori.
Focus, and then you remove that and put the film back.
Correct. Which means my model cannot move at all. So when you're doing, a matter of fact, sometimes when you're doing large format photography, the shutter speed is be so slow that they actually have a head mount that comes on a stand with a little Y that goes in the base of the neck. So the subject can't, right? So they keep their head there. So you have time to change your film and everything, so they don't throw up your focal plane. But she has done this before. Just going to bring this slightly closer. Yeah, you good. You great. All right, Tori, don't move. So that is it. Once I get this focus here. By the way, the part that you focus on is called a ground glass, right? Ground glass. So I said I need 1/320th of a second. The closest thing I have to that is 1/295th of a second, real odd number, or 1/350th of a second. Now, the latitude on instant film is so narrow that you have to get as close as possible. So 295 is closer to 320, or 350 is closer to 320. Maths. So doing that 295 means we're going to make it a little brighter. So my tension needs to be at 6. So the tension wheel has numbers on it. The higher the number, the more tension you get, the faster the shutter speed. Well, the amount I move this camera here. And I need a 3/8 split. All right, Tori, don't blink. Get ready, 2, 3. So all that setup for that. That was the picture. Yeah, she didn't blink or anything. And I press a button on top here, and we have the instant film. So it will take about 60 seconds to develop. You could hold that. I'm going to shoot another one in the meantime at the other side of the shutter speed to see how it looks. So just let me refocus there real quick. So we said this was 1/295th, right? This loop in my hand, is just for critical focus. Oh, we're real good. It's essentially a magnifying glass, but it'll only work at that distance directly on the 1/8. That's 6. How are we looking? Who are the picture? A little bright, but it will get a little darker as it develops. It has a little bit to go. Pass it around. So we go in for the slightly faster shutter speed this time. All right, Tori, get ready. Don't blink. And relax. All right, so I guess this will start here. Good. So guys, what I would like to attempt to do to close the class off, and it might look like shit, is to take a group shot of us using the same camera, with all of you all bunch up in the middle there on this f2.5 lens. Right? You all willing to try? Yes, good. So come over there into the shot, stand next to Tori for me. Oh, by the way, this is the size of the film holder for this camera. Here. Oh my goodness. Bunch up, Ole, bunch up. Oh, huh? No, that from this distance, no. So I had to go quite back down there. Ooh.
Yeah, boy.
God, that looked good. Yeah, sorry. The second one. The exposure was a little better. Honey.
Lovely. Yeah.
That is amazing. You know, you had to sign it, right? Later for that. Yeah, you could keep it. You could keep it. Thank you. All right, so some of you will need to stoop down, and photographers, we do this, we do this. Fix all yourself. Hmm? Yeah. And I'm also going to have to shoot this on the side. And this actually might be the widest lens I have. So you'll need to work with me here. All right, we close, we close. Possible to get a second light? Possible to get a second light anywhere? Or turn this light on them? Yeah, turn this light on them. I can slide this across. So because I'm using a projector lens, for those of you who have fast lenses like 1.4 and stuff, there's one phenomenon we can never escape, and that is vignetting at wide apertures. So what happens is my corners are a little dark right now, is what I'm saying. No, that's plenty. That's plenty. So I'm not seeing. Yeah, come in front now, Shorty. Come in front. All right, this is going to take some setting up. All right, I have everybody in frame now, just to get my focus. Hi. Ah, boy. Yeah, you can leave it right there and just blast them from the side and fill in the shadow. Thanks, Conrad. Affordable. What you see, me? Yeah, affordable in portfolio. This is what they're doing right here at AI Studios, corner of Bim Bim Trace and El Socorro Main Road. Check them out. Props, modifiers galore, things you never seen in your life. Check them out. Woo! You see that? Sunlight. Sunlight. That is what we're talking about. Conrad, you're showing off, dog. Damn. Oh, that is fantastic. Now I'm seeing everybody. All right. Good. My focus is ready. I just need chat to. Good. I'm seeing you there. Right. Akil, was it? Yeah. 15 more. You know, that's it. Rastaman, just come forward a little bit. Right in his space there. And can you come forward as well? Yeah, good. I'm seeing you well lit. All right, here we go. So at this point, you all can breathe, but you can't move. All right. And I'm going to meter for Tori. 1/500 of a second. And I'm going to meter is Jared. That is 1/200 of a second. That puts me in the middle at what? 250, 300-ish. So we'll take 2 shots then. Chad, you good? How them legs feeling? So I'm going to go 1/8. All right, nobody blink. Get ready. 2, 3, don't blink. That is 1, don't move. Don't move. I'm just going to eject this and shoot the other one time at the slower setting. 295. All right, here we go. Get ready. Don't blink. And you all can relax. So you all, I'm just going to end right here. You ready, Conrad? So guys, thanks for coming to the very first installment of Analog Film Shop. Very impromptu, a lot of rambling. How was the experience? Don't mama guy me? Or they learn anything? Yeah, so we had a little museum here. Thank you so much to AI Studios for accommodating us and allowing us to go exactly 20 minutes over time. I ain't tasted pylori yet. I know it was going to be fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Later. So you see how, you can see how thin the latitude is in terms of this. She's exposed correctly here, overexposed in front. Yeah, I had to, yeah.
You want to scan this?
I will, honey, could have it.
Okay.
But I definitely need to scan it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this one exposed correctly for Tori in the middle here. You see? All the flower skin people. And she exposed so correctly in the back here. I'll go with this one though. Once I scan it, I could probably bring up the shadows